Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Reviewing Old Comics. Today we're going to take a look at Donald Duck number 51. This is from January 1957, so this was actually on the newsstands in November of 1956, so I would consider this a Christmas comic. Uh, Issues like this and this time of the year, this was already a very popular, top selling comic that we're looking at right here. Um, this was a comic that was possibly in a lot of Christmas stockings. I know it was a tradition for me, and I think it might have been for a lot of other kids too. Um, you would get a comic book rolled in and stuffed in the top of your Christmas stocking. I always did. And early on, they might have been the only comic I got for that year, when I was like maybe 3 or 4 years old at the very beginning. And then, so I think it might have been that way for other kids. This was, it was a treat to get a comic like this. So, as I said, this is Christmas of 56 we're looking at right here. They're 10 cents. They're one thin dime at this point. And this is a top selling book that you are looking at. This is Donald Duck by Dell Comics. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but this comic probably was selling every month 3 times as much as the top selling comic today is. And this is just Donald Duck. But Donald Duck was a popular character, and this book was very popular. And as always, we're going to look both sides of the cover first, and it'll give you an idea of how of who this comic was aimed towards when we look at the back cover, because the advertisement on the back cover is a full page ad for Daisy rifles, but they're not BB guns. They're pop guns and cap rifles. So this comic is like 8 or 10 year olds is who they're aiming this at. But let's look at this great advertisement. Somebody drew an A with a grease pencil up there, but look at these awesome graphics. Guns of the West. This guy. Gee, Mom, this new scope is Lee Harvey. Awesome. Guns of the West, harmless shooting outfits. Harmless shooting outfits. And they are harmless. These are just pop guns, just cap guns. But they're awesome looking. Look, everything. Even back then, it's more expensive in California. It's $1 more on the West Coast. So if you wanted to pause it and read through this, you certainly could. I'm not going to read through all of this. This one is branded Annie Oakley. I noticed that. Isn't that interesting? Annie Oakley Enterprises. The one for the girls. Look at it's got the white stock, golden smoke. The rifles alone are $5, but with the whole set, with the 6-shooter cap gun, the belt, and the canteen, it's another $5. With the exception of this right here. This is the Cowboy King shooting outfit. This is the best set. This is $16 on the West Coast. You get the fringes. It's kind of got a. This is like a Will Rogers, Roy Rogers. This is like the Roy Rogers set, right? And then look at this, the littlest cowboy shooting outfit, where this little guy, he's just creeping up. Here's the canteen if you wanted to buy the canteen separate. And look at this, Wild and Free. Look at that. What a time. Oh, what a time it was. So yeah, look at, you can see down here, this is tell mom and dad to ask for genuine Daisy, where to buy daisies. Toy department, hardware, sporting goods, chain stores, anywhere you can find a cash register, you need to ask for a Daisy shooting outfit. Very cool. So yeah, this is Christmas time. They're hoping kids are going to take this little piece of thing off here, or maybe just show this whole advertisement to their mom or their dad. That's what's going on here. Now, back to the business at hand. Whew, looking at some Carl Barks. So, first things first, what we're going to be dealing with here in the Donald Duck comic book, as well as the other probably more popular or equally as popular Dell comic title, which was called Walt Disney's Comics and Stories, is a very formulaic situation. So this is going to be a comic that's 36 pages with no advertisements, except on the back cover and inside back cover, basically. Only maybe a couple half pagers, but nothing. Otherwise, it's just strips straight on through. But what you're going to get is you'll get a gag strip, then you're going to get a like 20-page adventure story that's going to take up 2/3 of the book probably, right? And this is going to be what, if you have watched the cartoon DuckTales and you're familiar with that formula, this is what that cartoon show is based on. And this is the work of the comic creator Carl Barks. And he's like the funny animal equivalent to Will Eisner, is how I would put it. And we're going to do a brief run through, look at this one story. I'm going to do my best not to give away spoilers. I'm just going to show you what this stuff is like, and tell you that it's all still out there. They made a lot of it and sold a lot of it. So Donald Duck himself is so popular because he's the everyman, right? So what's going on here? You can't get. Let's take a look at one of these stories, so you can just get an idea of what one of the one pages looks like. He tries to fix it on his own, right? And he's taking pride in his work. Still doesn't work. He loses his temper, throws it in the trash. This guy comes along, the garbage man comes along, and then once he dumps it into the back of the truck, it starts working. It cuckoos, and as it's being driven away in the trash truck. So it's the irony of the everyman. I can't think of any other way to explain it that makes Donald so relatable, even to little kids. Sorry about that, Goofy. Check it out. Goofy has been conscripted by the Nazis, by the Ratsies, and the boys need to get out of there. Or Uncle Donald needs to listen to what the boys are saying. So here's what's going on in this story, Donald Duck in The Secret of the Glacier. In typical fashion, or not typically, it's just this happens. Yeah, it happens a lot. Donald is taking the boys on an outing. I don't know what the full history is on this whole thing, but Donald is a duck who has full custody of his 3 nephews. And I don't know what the history behind these nephews is. It's not even as well laid out as like that show Family Affair. We don't even know what happened to the boys' parents or who the boys' parents were. So you'll see that Carl Barks is going to set the stage, in like this cinematic fashion. So they're going on a vacation, and Donald wants to take a side route, or he wants to stop off and get a good look at a view or something. See, look, he wants to feast your eyes on this beautiful view before you travel on. It's so peaceful and quiet here, you can hear a feather drop. One of the boys says, "Let's try it." Ping! I'm dropping the feather. Listen for the thud, Donald says. So this is the type of stuff that, endears you to the characters. You become familiar with the characters. You understand that there is a relationship between Donald and the boys that is, the boys know about their uncle, right? They know the situation. So, here there's seal rocks here, and they're stopping to go look at the seals, and something happens, and there's an avalanche, and they get stuck. Okay, and now they're stuck, and here's there's a lot of another one of those funny little things that that is in here, right? He says, "You boys go down and set up camp. I've got some thinking to do about this problem." And so that's standard Donald stuff. He's got some thinking to do about, and he's got to think about how we're going to get out of this. Now, meanwhile, going along with that same formula that I talked about, if you're familiar with DuckTales, Uncle Scrooge is on one of his yachts, right? Uncle Scrooge, Scrooge McDuck, is the richest duck in the world, and he is the uncle of Donald and the great uncle of the boys. So he's on his yacht, and he does some salmon fishing. Look at the beautiful work of Carl Barks. And he gets pulled overboard by this giant salmon. And then he gets picked up by some bad guys. These are recurring villains. This is Pete, and I forget this guy's name. This really cool looking weasel dude. Scupper, I think his name is. So they find Uncle Scrooge. They find Uncle Scrooge, and they know the worth of Uncle Scrooge, and they have evil intent. There's a lot that happens, as you can see. I'm not going to show you everything because I don't want to give off spoilers. All I can say is that this is really, really good stuff that really, really holds up well. There's plot devices that turn, they twist a little bit. There's always the surprise at how smart Uncle Scrooge is and how deeply he thinks ahead of certain situations. And also, there is heart within the stories. The stories are driven by a family connection typically between Donald and the boys. Uncle Scrooge is a bit removed, but there's still a family connection there with Uncle Scrooge as well. So it's an interesting thing, and these really hold up well. And this is a great issue. This was a fantastic story, and you can see there's just all this cool illustrations in here, really well done. And I would have been happy to have this if I was a kid in 1956, and this showed up in my Christmas stocking. Check it out. At the end, they get a hold of the Coast Guard, right? The Coast Guard comes and takes these guys away. That's the biggest spoiler of all. Hope you guys aren't bummed out me giving you the showing you that the Coast Guard shows up at the end in this 70-year-old comic. Oops. Next story coming up is a Goofy story, Goofy and the Pesky Pelican. This is kind of interesting. I was thinking about this when I was reading this. So, just like I guess when growing up in the 70s, when I first discovered John Romita and I guess Jerry Conway at the time, Spider-Man, I had this voice of Peter Parker in my head, in Spider-Man's voice, when I would read the comics, right? So, but with Goofy, when you read a Goofy comic, you're kind of forced to read in your head the way that Goofy talks. It's an interesting thing. It happens sometimes when you're reading about the ducks, because I don't talk like Donald Duck in my head, but the boys, that voice that the boys have, that weird low toned duck voice that the three boys have, or two of them have, or whatever. In my head I read like that when I'm reading their cynicism, because the boys are cynics, right? They know what's going to happen. They know that messed up stuff is going to happen. So look at the quality here. This is maybe Tony Strobel, I think this guy's name was, maybe, or is. I mean, what, these guys, I don't know. This is an old comic. This is 1956 when this was made. Really well done, and funny gag at the end. Just, it's good. I didn't read the text story, but this is a cool illustration. This is the I guess the last story, and this is another Donald Duck story. This will be a little bit longer than the Goofy story we looked at. And now this is a story that just takes place at the house with Donald and the boys. Really well drawn. I don't think this is Carl Barks, but this is funny, similar to one of the cartoons that you might watch. It's a kind of this funny alien bit. Donald gets a telescope, you can see, and the boys are trying, make mischief and prevent him from enjoying his telescope and not go to bed. So Donald dresses up like an alien and scares the boys. And this is a Carl Barks strip right here, and this will be the last bit we'll show to just show you what Barks is like. Now obviously you could just pause and read these. What's happening here is Donald has a job at a hat store at this point, and that's also a recurring theme, is that Donald is because as I said, he's like the everyman that gets lemons all the time, and so he's always has a new job, and so he's just trying to make a sale. He's trying to make a sale and trying to get Uncle Scrooge to buy a new hat, but Scrooge only wears that type of hat. And then he says that this is the reason why, he's got a thermos underwear. That's the gag. See, he says it helps him keep warm in the winter and cool in the summer, and that's how he keeps a thermos. And Donald is steamed, right? Because Scrooge is the richest duck in the world. He could just buy a hat to help Donald out, but he won't do that. That's not how Uncle Scrooge operates. Here we have an advertisement for Smith Brothers cough drops. Those probably still exist. And then the last thing here in the comic is a full page ad once again. This one's for Gilbert. I love how it says Gilbert Hall of Science. These are three big Christmas gifts for like 10 or 12-year-old boys or girls, but mostly boys. You'll see every kid picture here is a boy. So it says, have fun. You can ask for this Erector set. Look how expensive that Erector set is. Slightly higher priced in Denver and the West. Geez, that must have been, that's like the equivalent of a lot of money nowadays. So yeah, there's the Erector set, the chemistry set. If you wanted to read these and look at these, you could. I should be not moving around so much. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Hatching real shrimp, watching them grow with the new Gilbert microscope set. Nice, huh? So it's the same deal. This comic is coming out a month and a half, sometimes maybe even almost 2 months before Christmas, and they want those kids that are buying this comic that are about 10 or 12 years old to show these ads to their parents. And Donald Duck number 51 is an outstanding comic that still holds up, and this is a pretty good story, The Secret of the Glacier. Not going to knock it. It had funny moments, and it was good all the entire way through. At no point when I was reading this comic did I feel like I was doing a chore or something, or was I losing interest. This is quality stuff that I highly recommend. All right, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Reviewing old comics, Donald Duck number 51. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.